wanirekebisha, nikianguka waniamsha. Wewe ni Mungu wa rehema, kando na wewe hakuna mwingine. Wewe ni wa upendo, upendo wako ni wa milele, mwanzilishi mkamilishaji wa imani yangu. Mungu wewe ubadiliki Baba, wewe si binadamu. Yesu wewe upimanishwi Baba, wewe si binadamu. Bwana wewe ni wa milele, oh, wewe si binadamu. Baba wewe mkamilifu Baba, wewe si binadamu. Upendo wako wanishangaza mimi, rehema zako ni mpya kila asubuhi. Baba, kuna mmoja enzini aliyekamilika, kuna mmoja enzini asiyebadilika. Kupitia damu yake mimi nimefanyika kuwa mwana, kupitia damu yake nimekombolewa. Hivyo wewe si binadamu, wewe si binadamu, wewe si binadamu, oh, wewe si binadamu. Wewe ni mwaminifu Baba, wewe si binadamu. Wewe mkamilifu Baba, wewe si binadamu. Wewe si binadamu Bwana, janidanganya Yesu. Utabaki kuwa Mungu milele, milele. Utabaki kuwa Mungu, ubadiliki, utoshanishwi. Utabaki kuwa Mungu. Fanyika kuwa mwana, kupitia damu yake nimekombolewa. Hivyo wewe si binadamu, wewe si binadamu, wewe si binadamu, oh, wewe si binadamu. Wewe ni mwaminifu Baba, wewe si binadamu. Wewe mkamilifu Baba, wewe si binadamu. Wewe si binadamu Bwana, janidanganya Yesu. Utabaki kuwa Mungu milele, milele. Utabaki kuwa Mungu, ubadiliki, utoshanishwi. Utabaki kuwa Mungu, upendo wako wanishangaza.
A very good afternoon, and this is Crown TV, and my name is Peter Fabius. Today we are coming to you live right from Nakuru County, and we are basically at Fika and Feast Hotel, and today we are going to focus on the state of the nation, and I'm honored to have a great panelist here. From my farthest left, that is Mr. Mwangi John, who is an entrepreneur in Nakuru, and I'm having Mr. Morris, who is also an entrepreneur in Nakuru, and we really want to look at the state of the nation at this moment and know how is the nation as we talk now, and the position of the nation, and economically, politically, and even spiritually. So, gentlemen, karibuni sana to our show, and thanks for making time for us. I just want to have a first quick question for us. Is about the voter turnout that we saw in this past election. As you all know, that the process was just okay and everything, but we realized and IBC recorded low voter turnout. What could be some of the reasons, perhaps, maybe, and it's not really on during the election, but right from the voter registration. So maybe you can help us understand what happened to an extent that we really had low turnout, both in registration and even during. Just to start with you, Mr. Mwangi.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for your question. What I would, or my observation is that for the last 3 elections, we had, this is 2013, 2017, and now come the 2022 election. You realize that Kenyans, in a way, they look tired with the politicians, because you see there have been promises that were made in 2013, promises that were never fulfilled. Come to 2017, the same case, they were given promises, and when you look at the kind of life Kenyans are living today, sometimes you just ask yourself, will you really go to elect these politicians and exactly expect the same thing that they have been, the same lies, the same promises? So people are getting fed up of this stuff. And then number 2, you'll see the kind of the cost of living. You realize that the cost of living is so high, and people can't afford really even a single the 3 meals in a day. So people are really working from hand to mouth, and people cannot really afford the kind of the life you would wish. So people are giving up, people are losing hope, and instead of going to queue to vote for a politician who you don't really trust whether he's going to deliver on what he's saying, you find people opting to go to work. Just decide, let me go to work, the kibarua that I'm used to, instead of going to queue for a line for waste a whole day, and then you find yourself wasted for another 5 years.
Thank you very much, Mr. John. And when I come to you, Mr. Morris, you could really tell. I was in my polling station very early in the morning, but the number of people, a good number, were just middle-aged people and old-age people. Why was this low turnout amongst our youth?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm actually delighted. When I look at, let's say when we look at the history of Kenya, you see throughout the years, we've been seeing what we call democracy being exercised through being exercised through what we call voting. We are told, come and vote for the leader of your choice. But as time went by, people discovered some few discrepancies in election. I can't say when, how, but it has been evident. But literally, at this point, we can't literally tell exactly how things are. But what we know is that the young men thought that there is no need of coming out to vote, and my life is still the same. They're looking at what am I going to gain as a young man? A government would come and promise you that we will bring this, we will give this. And how many of those things that we have been told as promises that turned out to be propaganda? And from the history of previous governments, not the previous one alone, even the other governments, since they want to get the votes and get to the office, they'll promise you heaven. And even delivering the earth or a village is a problem. So young men came to realize that we are being told to vote for these people, but again, these people that we are voting for them, they're not so much concerned about us. You see, even this kazi kwa vijana inaletwa hapa mtaani, we find out that even getting such a work that pays 600 bob per day is a problem. We need to have to know someone. You know, we talk of these things, but we don't get the reality of the execution of them. You know, like on the ground, nothing is happening. So to me, I believe that young men think it is not benefiting them. They don't find any value into voting because they don't see the effect of the leaders that we are choosing. Yes.
Now, I just want to move very fast to the next question, whereby, okay, it's about the performance of IBC. You realized that some of the polling stations, some of them opened very late. Maybe I would say maybe that was one of the reasons of low turnout, because some people came very early in the morning, but they ended up waiting for the polling stations to be opened at the right time until they got tired of their situations whereby the KIMS kits failed and such like things. So in let me say 3 seconds, how would you rate or what do you make of IBC performance?
Maybe before I answer that,
Mhm.
to add on what my brother is saying, I think also the issue of voter registration, it was not very well advertised, and then there is this
Voter education.
voter education
Mhm.
also was not done correctly. So you find the youths were never, they don't take it with that gravity that it requires for them to participate in elections. That is why you find instead of going, because they don't understand what is happening or what is the importance of going to vote. Coming back to your question on regards to the performance of IBC, I don't really blame IBC for people not coming out to vote, because the voting day was really, it has been sung out to us for more than 4 years. About date 9 or 9th of August, it has been a song. So people expected that when they wake up on the 9th, they would go and vote. So I don't really blame IBC for a lot of now, because we expected that maybe sometimes the KIMS kit will fail because of some logistics. We also expected that some polling stations may open late, and not all of them opened late.
But Mr. Mwangi, if I can just, sorry for the interruption, but if I really remember very well, there is another part of the political divide that was really appealing for the manual register, and the IBC really refused to use the manual register. Is it a blame to be put on IBC for the failure of the KIMS kit, or what do you make of that?
The issue of the manual register, I may not really wish to comment so much on it, because with my small understanding, I think I heard it was because of the 2017 election that was annulled. They came up with that the manual register will be used in case the KIMS kit fails, and then you realize whatever that is in the KIMS kit, the register, the electronic register, it is the same register that is manual. So if somebody's name is not in the KIMS kit, there was no way that name could have been found in the manual register. And you find that other elections have been having complaints of so many people voting more than once. So the importance of using the KIMS kit is that you could not vote twice, more than once. Once you vote, it is done. So I think the courts were trying to seal that loophole of voting more than once. So and the issue of low turnout, I wanted to blame it on the voters, because if I'm determined to vote and I want my candidate to win, whether it is late, whether it is early, whatever the circumstances, I must make sure that I come out and vote.
And exercise your democratic right.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, I just want us to fast track this so that we move to the next topic, whereby we are going to discuss about the presidential results and definitely the events at the Bomas. Mr. Morris, what do you make of that? You know, the delays, but they were still on their time. Their time frame was still okay. The IBC, I mean. But you could really see a situation whereby there was tension at the Bomas. What is your take about this?
Okay, all right. I'm not much conversant with how IBC works. But this is what I can say. Like for any job, any company, any institution, it's a professional, and I'm sure that every employee or every personnel for that specific area is always ready to do their best. But what I can assure you is that we are no perfect. We are no angels. And as a matter of fact, you cannot blame IBC that, they were late, they didn't deliver. Looking at football, only fans who are the non-players know how the goal should happen. They know what a goalkeeper should have done. But if given the chance, they cannot do better. So what I can say is that IBC have done their best, and as a matter of fact, I tell you that everyone gave up themselves to work. And if there are any challenges in that area, it is not for us to rectify them. But I'm sure that as time goes by, it's a learning curve. They get to learn and they get to improve day by day. You don't expect angels to come down and conduct an election. These are human beings. They are people that we really value and know, that are also not as perfect as we may expect them to be. Yes, sir.
Mr. John, I just want us to discuss this briefly. It's about Bomas actually, but you could see Bomas during that presidential, result release. There was a lot of, commotion right inside Bomas, and again, besides that, as Chebukati was going to announce the presidential result, you could see part of, in fact, the majority of commissioners walked out and they held a different, a parallel press conference. You as a citizen and as an entrepreneur and also a youth in this nation, what do you make of that?
Number one, the performance of IBC. Though the IBC kept assuring us that everything was okay, everything was in control, including the 4 commissioners. I remember the vice chair, Cherera, she was among the commissioners who were reading out the results and telling us that the results were okay, everything was okay. For them to walk out during the 11th hour, that was, I can call it, that is political bad manners. You don't walk out when the whole nation is glued to the TV, expecting the results to be announced. I think it would have been prudent of them to just wait for the announcement to be made, and if they have other issues, because like now we are expecting a petition in the Supreme Court.
We're coming to that.
Why they should have waited for that? Because the picture that they displayed to the country, why it's not that Kenyans exercised to be very much peaceful. They were tolerant with what was happening. Otherwise, what they did would have led to an explosion of very big chaos, especially to some people who saw that now they were going to lose. And whenever you go to elections, you expect your candidate to win. So if you realize that your candidate is losing, and then somebody just comes up and shows that whatever was done was not right, you raise the emotions of the candidates who are losing, and their supporters may come up and ban this country. So I think whatever according to me, that is not what professionals behave. and they tend to raise so many questions because you realize they were just put in those positions some few months ago
yeah,
towards the elections. Then you wonder, did the appointing authority had something to do with what they were doing? Because we know the current administration, they had a certain, they took sides. They were not partisan. So you wonder, did the appointing authority give had a hand on whatever they did, on their working out? But on the part of Chebukati, I believe he stood out in the moment, because what would have happened if he did not read the results? Because we would have ended up in a constitutional crisis, because he was working in timelines, and we don't know what would happen if
and that day was the actual
and that was the last day. If it had that was the 7th day really, and he has 7 days to again on the behaviors of the politicians. I actually understand them, because they are there to defend their vote, they are there to defend their candidates. So those are things that maybe were expected.
Maybe Mr. Morris, in 1 minute or in 30 seconds, what do you make of that whole thing, the Bomas thing, what really transpired over there?
I can't literally say much, because I'd say from my angle, when I look at it, I'd condemn an action. I'd ask, why would they do that? But you see, you can take it if you sit down with them and ask them, why would you do that? They tell you that they had a reason. Maybe their reason was very valid. But again, if a commission employs you, there is what we call ethics, and there is a code of conduct, what you should do in such scenarios. Now, that is where maybe I'd blame IEBC as a commission, because to me, I'd ask, are there no ethics or rules guarding, directing the commissioners in case of such scenarios? Maybe there was a reason that was truly valid as to why these commissioners had to leave. Maybe their reasons were very true and important. But again, the question is, was that the right course of action? But now there are people that maybe saw the action as right. Some condemned the action. So either way, at the end of the day, in every commission, or rather in every institution, there are rules and ethics that govern that. So that one I'd leave it.
Worship break, but before then, just briefly, they had, that's the IBC Vice Chair, Juliana Cherera, having a presser out at Serena Hotel. Some of the points came out. What do you make of what the allegations she was making? Was it the right thing to do, or what do you make of that?
Like I said, my earlier submission is that you see the vice chair at Bomas reading the results and confirming to us that whatever she was reading was the correct results. So turning again against her own words, that is doublespeak. Because I believe, why did she realize that whatever she was reading was wrong in the last minute? I may not really. And then you see that if you are a scholar or you've done psychology, you know how to read body language. Even if you looked at them when they were reading their press statement, you can really tell that it is most likely that whatever they were reading was not theirs. Once they were asked questions, they say, today we are not taking questions, tomorrow we are going to give a comprehensive report. Then when they came to give a comprehensive report, they gave us some mathematics that everybody when you just by a glimpse of 0.01 making it 140,000, it tells you that she did not even comprehend whatever she was reading. Could it be that somebody just made that press statement and told her, go and read? Because it looks like she was not even very much aware of what she was talking about. But all said and done, that was wrong.
So I want to appreciate you. Our viewers, we are still hanging out here with Mr. John Mwangi, who is an entrepreneur, a pastor and a youth in Nakuru. And we are also having Mr. Morris, who is also an entrepreneur in Nakuru and an expert. We are yet to know more about that in our next segment. But we are due for a short worship break, and we are going to come back with much more, including the state of the nation now after the presidential result announcement. And now we want to look at where are we now as youths and even as a nation as a whole. We are taking this commercial break. We will be right back in a short while. See you on the other side.
Dr. Eddie.
Ninakushukuru Mungu sababu ya mengi, hata uhai huu sikustahili. Ninakushukuru Mungu tena sababu ya vingi, hata nikiwa nasali unajua na maanisha, sio kama eti nilitenda wema kwa kujalinganisha kwa matendo yako makuu. Mimi Mungu ningekulipa nini ulikonitoa? Siri ya moyo wangu matopeni topeni, kaniketisha na wakuju. Umenipa heshima ukanifuta machozi. Asante o Baba, hata shukrani zangu ni kwako, ni kwako, ni kwako. Shukrani zangu ni kwako, oh Baba, ni kwako. Yelele, yelele. Aibu umefuta, fedheha umefuta, umenipa amani iliyo ya kweli. Nakumbuka nalia, mimi ndo yule ambaye nilitukanwa na kudharau, wakasema kuisha habari yake. Kuna kipindi nilikufa, nikawa mifupa inayotembea, nikiwa kwa siku za usoni. Walisema tunazika kesho, ila huruma uliniponya na kaburi. Kwa huruma sitosahau wema wako we Baba, ni kwako. Shukrani zangu ni kwako, na shukrani zangu ni kwako, ni kwako, ni kwako Yahweh, ni kwako. Ewe, ni kwako. Kama kusoma tulisoma wengi, umeruhusu niwe na kazi nzuri.
Asante Baba.
Ajali tulipata wengi, umeruhusu nibaki na uzima.
Asante Baba.
Ndoa zilifungwa nyingi, umeruhusu nibaki na amani.
Asante Baba.
Furaha wanakosa wengi, umeruhusu tabasamu kwangu.
Asante Baba.
Hata shukrani zangu
Ni kwako,
ni kwako, ni
Welcome back, and we are still hanging around here. We are still here with my amazing panelists here, Mr. John Mwangi and Mr. Morris, helping us to understand the state of the nation as we talk, most basically as youths. And today, I want us, just before I go to the next point, you were saying there was a point you wanted to make before we went on break. Please take it on.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to maybe comment on something that my brother said. We may stand out and condemn the character of these people, this IBC commissioner, but we do not have a reason. We don't know as to why they did what they did. I am not justifying what they did, no. But maybe where that person is, she's feeling guilty. You don't know. But at that point, when they came out to say that, we are not approving this, we are not into this, they might have their own reasons. And maybe to them that was the course of action at that time. You do not understand or maybe get to know the pressure that they were in. You understand? So, with that in mind, we might be easy condemning them and thinking that, putting them that they do not have a discipline. But maybe to their level best, that was the best course of action, So I think that's not much. I just wanted to.
My question is, why disown the results that you have been reading out yourself? She was at Bomas, reading out the results. Why again come out and disown, saying that there was opaqueness, and the opaqueness she is trying to tell us is that there were arithmetics of 0.01, which translates that Kenyans voted over 1 billion votes if we were to go with her arithmetics.
Maybe that is where she saw the problem, and she was not able to understand, and that's why she maybe thought, since no one can hear me, let me opt out. Let me get out of this, and let me speak my mind. So, to me, maybe thinking, maybe they could have taken time, a little time, to verify that. Even if you stand and say that this is not a mistake, it's what people see. But again, like I said, the matter is being taken to court, and as a matter of fact, we as Kenyans, we are called to maintain peace and let the law take its course.
Wow, now you could, I just want us to go very fast after the announcement of the presidential election. And Mr. John, you could see that immediately after that announcement, mega announcement, you could realize that, there were celebrations in some parts of the country, and on the other side, there were also, some kind of disappointment, and, there was those kind of two mixed reactions. And basically, just to be particular, in Kisumu, they were not happy, and the other sides, like in Eldoret, Uasin Gishu, there were kind of celebrations and jubilation. What do you people make of those kind of these two different feelings at that point? Starting with you, Mr. John.
I think that is something which is expected, because this is a competition. And in either way, we expected that there would be a winner. And definitely, if one wins, the other one loses. And the supporters of the winner feels that, wow, we have made it. And that was expected, the celebration. And of course, the one who lost, their candidates would have been remorse, because this is something they have waited for, the promises, and then you see the politicians kept on in the social media telling their supporters, we are winning this, it is coming home, we are taking it. When it came now that they have lost, you understand their feelings that our candidate has lost, and their expectations were never met. But one thing I commend either sides, whether the winning side or the losing side, is that they really maintained peace.
I'm definitely coming to that in a short while. But let me get your reactions, Mr. Morris, before I go to that next point. Your mic seems to be having a problem. Okay.
Thank you. In any context, or rather in any competition, there is what we know as winners and losers. We agree that there are winners and losers, and to say, or rather to be clear, if you go to any competition, after at the end of it, we only celebrate one party, the winners. And it's because winning is a good thing, it's a positive thing. And again, there is also the part of losing. I don't think the losers should have issues with the winners. You know why? Because in the first place, or rather in the first, they should have known, or we should have known, that we are going to a competition, we will either win or lose. You get the point? So if I lose, I will not start blaming the winner. They just did their best. Now again, the winners should not criticize the losers. You know, when a man or a lady is going through a heartbreak, the other person is not feeling the same, and they will get through this, get through it. You know, they'll tell you that. But there is a rule I always say: never dwell on the negative part. I always say that if you have something negative that has happened to you, go and take only 5 minutes. Cry it out, wail, talk whatever you want to say, haul, do whatever you want to do. But after 5 minutes, look at it. Can you go back again and change the situation? No. If you cannot change the situation, it's time to wake up and move on.
Thank you. Mr. John, I think I'm moving to this next point, whereby now we are seeing a situation whereby there's political maturity, both to the losers and even to the winners. Because I was in Nakuru, I could see that evening there were a lot of celebrations, but they ended after maybe something like 2-3 hours. The celebrations were done. And if you go back to Kisumu, as you know, like Kondele, as commonly known, there were no demonstrations. There were no, blocking roads and all those commotions. What does this tell us? Like, is our country coming to political maturity, kind of, or what do you make of that?
Maybe before I answer your question, I may want to respond on what my brother has said.
Yes.
On winning and losing. You usually say that there is always next time. Once you are beaten this time, maybe you will make it next time. But maybe it's always important to look back and ask yourself why the success and why the failure, so that you realize if you have lost, what mistakes did you do, so that maybe you can correct them next time, or where did you lost, because these elections are Election are not lost in the election day. It is you do your homework well and you do your calculation well.
It's a process.
It's a process, really. On the same now, coming to your question about political maturity in this country, I think this is the first time when we are seeing people exercising restraint after the results have been announced. You find that I think people have, and the generation is changing. The people who are voting in 1998, 97 are not the same who are voting now. People have become more much civilized. People know that once you lose, it is you who have lost. Because my life has to continue. If William Ruto becomes the president, there is no much thing he's going to help me as a person. I must have to wake up the following morning and go to work. So you find that Kenyans are becoming privy to that. That regardless of whatever side you take, you have a life to live. And that is why you see they celebrated, and I think I was in town the following day after the announcement of the result. And you find town was normal. People were back to work. The bodas were going on. Everything was going as just normal, because we have adapted the fact that we don't have to sleep at home or go on the streets to do those mandamanos because our candidate has lost. Yet I have a family to feed.
Yes.
I have a job to attend. I have so many things that I'm expected of. That is the kind of, you see, the kind of the population that now we have. So I think we've really grown, and we are really heading to the right direction.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. John. And now, Mr. Morris, let's talk a bit about the youth and this past political, season. How would you, what do you make of the way the youth have behaved, and even how they have carried out themselves? Like, it has been a real long season of politicking and all that. But now, most of the times they are the ones going to the streets, demonstrating and all that. But in this past election, you could see there's a difference. What can you say about that?
Thank you so much. This is what I can call political maturity. Over time, we have been having this character that our person has to win. Our person must be the president. The person I voted for must win. But again, understanding that might not come true is being able to now being able to understand now the country is growing. You look at where United States is. You'll never find them in the streets. You'll never find such things as banning businesses and Protestant moving along every time after an election. Never. So to me, I see it as a step. Number two, and this one is big. You know how God works, we literally can't say. But you see, this is peace that no one can explain. For some guys, there was an expectation because our person or the person we voted for did not win. Now the country has to start burning. But now you wonder, the very day the announcement was made, there was no violence whatsoever. And to that, I believe that is the true peace that comes from above. And now that is peace has got nothing to do with the losers and winners. Peace is peace.
Yes.
And if you look at the country, look everywhere, look at what has happened. You cannot explain how did the country come to a level where not that they had a discussion with each other. Someone in Kitui, someone in Kisumu, and someone maybe in Kakamega, they did not go out to fight. They decided that we have to move on as a country.
Thank you. Now, Mr. John, I just want now you to move to the, that same point, but now we want to look at the church. The church is really critical in all this, because you cannot, sideline the church in, in the affairs of the country. do you think the church has done, enough for the country, or if for the sake of the stability of the country, of the nation? Has it done its part? Has it contained the nation in prayers and even in counseling? Because I've been seeing several pastors, several bishops, church leaders coming on TV, calling out for peace, calling out for tolerance, calling out for those kind of things, political tolerance and stability in our nation. What do you take, or what do you make of that?
As a Christian, so that to bring Kenyans together, and you could see leaders from the both of the two political divides coming together and declaring peace. So you in fact, the peace you see which is prevailing in this land as we speak today, it is not really political made. It is godly, because we have been here many times, and it has never been whatever we are seeing today. And
To
really
mean that the church stood in the gap.
it took its place and did what it's supposed to do. And mark you when you look at the behavior of the church during this election, they did not take sides. They allowed their congregants to do their thing the way they wanted. They did not give any direction, and that is a good picture, because the church accommodates all, whether Azimio, whether Wajakoya or whoever. You find the church accommodates all.
Yes,
So
yes.
and that was a good picture, and no wonder you see the kind of peace we are experiencing right now. So on my part, I believe
the church
the
did
church
its
did
part.
its part.
Okay, Morris. Now, as according to you, do you feel like the church has given enough counseling to our youth, to the congregants, and even the political, our political leaders? Do you think the church has really played that role perfectly well to actually make sure that the nation is stable and people are focused?
Yes. What my brother said, I've seen gatherings, and I've seen churches not taking sides in this political era. And to me, I'd say thank you to the church and say thank you to God, because one, we won. As Kenyans, we won. We are not talking about where we went to that polling station and cast our ballot, our vote. Sorry, I'm saying that we won, in as much as we have a president-elect. I say as Kenya we won, because there is peace. Because the peace you see right now cannot be explained. Even yourself, can you tell me about it? You can't. It is God himself, and it's because God loved us. And at this particular time, I believe that Kenyans will still maintain that. So we are not looking at precisely winners and losers. There are no winners and losers. There are only winners. Because as Kenyans, right now, there is no place burning. We have people going back to their normal businesses. We have other, I'd say, vehicles commuting along the highways. There are no challenges as we had expected.
I really want to agree with you on that point, because here it is not a matter of winning and losing. It's a win for all Kenyans. Definitely, because if you can see peace in the country, it means that everybody else has won. So, okay, just briefly, Mr. John, as we move to the next, I think we are due for another commercial break. But before that, I really want you to talk to us about entrepreneurship. You are an entrepreneur, and you could see, the situation in the country, whatever was going around. Has it affected our businesses? How has it affected, if so, how has it affected our businesses? Are jobs still there? Have people been laid off? Or is it, what is the situation?
I've been in business for this is the second election that is
Mm-hmm.
taking place when I'm in business,
Mm-hmm.
and for a fact, this is the first time
Mm-hmm.
when we only closed our jobs for only the election day,
Mm-hmm.
because you can see the country is calm and the
Peaceful.
businesses are back.
Mm-hmm.
We are back. There is no one who we have fired.
Mm-hmm.
All people are back to jobs,
Mhm.
and the work is continuing.
Yes.
So I believe this election has not really destabilized the business sector.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that happened, I'm in food business,
Mm-hmm.
where we produce maize flour,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a time we had some issues with maize flour,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the only problem
Mhm.
when we had shortages of maize and the stuff.
Uh-huh.
But for the election period,
Mm-hmm.
the peace that is there has really encouraged even the businesses that are still going on. There is no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And now, as much as we are saying there were no demonstrations, there were no, a lot of commotions within the country. But to me, I feel like, as much as this was not happening on the physical realm, like on the streets, but people took it on the social media platforms. Now you could see people throwing words at each other. There's Azimio, the UDA, and the Wajakoya thing. Is it really something, good for the nation? As for you, I will start with you, Mr. Morris, because this is something that I know all of you must have taken. Yes.
If you are mourning,
Mm-hmm.
consider them that are celebrating.
Mm-hmm.
Because those who are celebrating, they're
Mhm.
happy.
Yes.
Those that are mourning, they're sad.
That's sad. They've lost.
And that's how the things are. So I just call out for those on social media,
Mm.
those who making remarks, those criticizing others.
Mm-hmm.
Just look for a better way of mourning.
Mhm.
Look for a better way of celebrating,
Mhm.
because we are a country and we are one people.
That's really a good point. Now, Mr. John, as I come to you to comment on that, there's one thing that we really need to understand. Like today, I may not know your political stand or which side you are supporting, or you may not even know which side I'm supporting. But we are still Kenyans, and we are still brothers and sisters. This is the Kenya we have, and I don't think that the president-elect, His Excellency Mr. William Ruto, being the president, is going to bring you food on the table, or even if Raila had won, is going to bring to someone in Kisumu food on the table. I think people really need to embrace each other and at least moving forward accept that this was really a political thing that has to be done. It is really embedded in the constitution that it had to be done. So there's no need for Kenyans start fighting each other on social media, like now abusing each other. Now even it's really demoralizing. And maybe just your final comments before I know our time is due.
What I can say is that Kenyans need to remember that these politicians are good friends.
Mm-hmm.
You find them in their own occasions. You find if, for example, a politician has lost a family member,
Mm-hmm.
you will find even other members of the other political divide. You find them in the same occasions.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys are friends. It's only that the difference in political parties.
Yes.
They are friends.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to become an enemy to your neighbor or abuse your neighbor. Just a mere fact that he or she does not support your political divide,
Mm-hmm.
because it is only the political divide. It's the political difference.
Mm-hmm.
But your neighbor will always remain to be. In fact, we say you can choose a friend,
Yes.
but you may not choose your neighbor.
Your neighbor, sure.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good point, because recently I think it's yesterday that I saw Mr. Sakaja, the governor Nairobi, and his opponent Mr. Igade sitting together having tea, but you as the supporter of Mr. Sakaja and the other person is supporter of Mr. Igade fighting down here. And what you just said is really very true, that these people, these political politicians, the political leaders, they are definitely friends, and no, we cannot refute that. Maybe you have something to add, maybe in 10 seconds.
Okay. What I can say is simple. There is what one of the kuna mheshimiwa alisema mambo ya mambo ya politics, mambo ya siasa, si mambo ya kuweka kwa roho. Now let me shock you. All the politicians you see, those things ambazo unaona saa hizi zikiwa shida kwako, haziko kwa roho zao. They do not have them in their hearts. You think Raila is mourning. He's not. You think Ruto is so super happy. No, it's not. To them, they are very professional. And that part where you think they have issues, no.
And you could really tell on the first interview that the president-elect, His Excellency Ruto, had. He stated that he disclosed that in the morning they were having a conversation with Raila. And now look at that. Now maybe you are supporting Raila and the other person is supporting His Excellency President-elect.
Yet you cannot call your friend.
And yet you cannot call your... In fact, a lot of blockings have taken place. Many people, many friends, many even neighbors have even blocked each other because of the political stand they are taking.
Some even don't greet each other.
You see,
say from this person.
I think, Mr. Director, we are due for another short worship break. Yeah, I'm being told we are due for another short worship break. But before we go there, now, Mr. John, you could really see that His Excellency Mr. Raila Odinga said that the presidential election, the results that were given by the IBC chairman were null and void. What do you make of that?
I don't want to take sides, but I think he went overboard. But that's going too much, because the only body that is mandated to declare whether something is null and void or not, that is on issues of presidential result, that is a mandate of the Supreme Court of Kenya. So we may not really take his words with any gravity, because that is a decision that is ought to be made. In fact, his responsibility is only to take the petition to the Supreme Court, then we wait for the judgment. The judgment is the one that will render the results, whether null and void, or uphold the same.
No, okay, that's very true. Mr. Morris, I know we are okay. The country, we are expecting this other side, the Azimio coalition, to file a petition. I think on Monday, if I'm not wrong. Moving forward, what do you see? I know we were supposed to have a lawyer here to help us with those legal or whatever, but what do you see as, or where do you see the country going forward?
Sorry, maybe I would add something on what you said. On the comment of what Raila had said. I'd say, according to the law, if Chebukati could have stood and say, I now declare Wajakoya president-elect, to right now, let me tell you, the law would have accepted Wajakoya as president-elect, and that is what we could have had, we could have seen in the cameras. So what I'm trying to say is, all parties, either UDA and Azimio, let them respect IBC to do their job. But now, coming to your question again, going forward, I'd say this is what I see. I see peace. I see peace.
Yes.
That's what I see.
No petitions, no nothing.
I see peace. The rest of the things are just legal matters, and will be handled in court. If the court will declare null and void, sawa. If the court will declare that the president-elect, of course, is Ruto, well and good.
Mhm.
But what I see, I am looking at Kenyans as my brothers and sisters and my neighbors. I see peace.
Thank you, Mr. John. You got something to add on top?
On the petition that has been filed, I
Mhm.
understand they filed it yesterday.
All right.
That they are now going to try to annul the result that were announced.
Mm-hmm.
Once the declaration has been made, the president-elect remains to be the president-elect
Sure.
until that decision is overturned by the court. So that being in the courts, I think it would be better we give the court its time
Mm-hmm.
to decide, and then we wait and see the kind of evidence the petitioner is going to present, if it will be enough
Mm-hmm.
to overturn, because we have a history of what happened in 2017
Yes.
that led to the nullification of the 2017 results. So we would wait to see whether the IEBC repeated the same mistakes during the judgment of the petition that has already been filed. But as on my view, I believe they don't rely on the Cherera figures.
Mm-hmm.
They will be in for a roadshow.
But okay, I know you are not a legal expert, but going forward, in an event whereby the election is nullified, what next?
Kenyans, we have a history of the same. 2017 election was nullified because what I know is that the court cannot declare a presidential winner. So the presidential winner must be declared by the IEBC. So what the courts will do, if they find errors in the results, they'll annul the results, and then IEBC will set dates. I think it is a span of 60 days.
Yes.
It happens, then we go back to the elections, and Kenyans will go back. They will go back and elect the president of their choice. That is if the
After 60 days.
after 60 days. That is after the results, after the courts maybe announce the results, and then we go back to the elections, of which the most likely event is that we wait and see. We would better wait and see.
I want to take your parting shots as we finish. Just your maybe something you have to tell Kenyans using that camera. Mr. Morris, maybe your parting shot, what you have in idea or in mind, and whatever you want to, the message you want to convey to Kenyans, more so to the youth.
Hello, thank you. Thank you, Kenyans. This is what I'm going to say. We went out to vote, all of us. It is our democratic right. We exercised it, and we voted. Then the other part, we did our part and went home, which was good. The other part was for the IBC. Wafula Chebukati, being the presidential returning officer, did his part. He announced the winner, the president-elect, who is William Ruto. So as of now, that is what we have. The other candidates, of course, some of them concealed defeat. The other one decided to file a petition, which is also a right. What I'll say is this: you have a life, you have a family to feed, and you have dreams to catch up with. Continue with your life, keep on going. No politician will ever come to your house and even check out how you're doing. Ukilala njaa mtu wangu umelala njaa. Ukikosa pesa ya rent, uko peke yako umekosa. If you call them, they will not pick your calls. Keep on moving. Love your neighbor. Mtakuwa na every time. Preach peace. And we say, above all, there is life. And there is only you and life. So keep on living life and full of happiness. Thank you. That is all for me.
Mr. John Mwangi, before I'm going to come back to also give you an opportunity, to share your social media handles. That is later. But give us your parting shots.
Thank you, Peter. I want to finish by saying the following. Number one, we don't have the luxury of saying that we don't care.
Sure.
This country is ours. we must take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
And our actions, whether leaders, IEBC commissioners, citizens,
Yes.
our actions speak more louder than what we say.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have the luxury of saying that we don't care. We must be careful, whatever we speak, whatever we say, and whatever we do. More so, I commend Kenyans for the calmness they have remained, but I will still request that we continue remaining in peace. Let us coexist with our neighbors. This Kenya is bigger than any human being.
Mm-hmm.
Kenya is bigger than William Ruto. Kenya is bigger than Raila Odinga.
Sure.
We have lives to live. We have lives to protect. We have jobs to protect. We have children to take to school.
Yes.
We have families to feed. So we need to, as Kenyans, let us go back to our normal lives, remembering that politics will come and go. Today we don't see the trucks that we used to see them all over the roads. We don't see the posters. Let us go back to the normal, to our normal lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mango. Gentlemen, I really want to appreciate you for even being here with us, taking your time. It has been really humbling. I want to appreciate you very much, and I also want to give special gratitude to the Fika and Feast Hotel. Fika and Feast is actually in Nakuru County, and it is located just a few kilometers on Nakuru-Nairobi highway that is situated at Blankes. Fika and Feast is the real deal. There, when you get there, you have beautiful drinks. You have, you'll get nice, delicious, mouth-washing, dishes. That is a place where you have to go. But before I sign out, quickly share out your social media handles. Maybe for someone, these are gentlemen, these are business people, they are entrepreneurs in Nakuru. Maybe you may need their services. You'll say what you do and your social media handles. Just in 30 seconds, please.
Okay. I do marketing. That is my profession, and most of business. So for the companies that are growing, I do BTL, that is below the line marketing, where I do seeding, listing, market storms, events. Those are some of the things, and also sound system. I do hiring services. You can get me through my phone number, 0711 716 I'll repeat,
Yes.
0711 716 and my Facebook account, Twitter, and YouTube is Maurice Amos. And I also have another account. It's called Young Old Insight. Thank you, and God bless Kenya.
I know as you are going to share your social media handles, Mr. John, my director is telling me that we are going to after that we are going to have I'm hoping that our viewers are going to enjoy that. And Mr. John, just your social media platform.
Yes, I'm John Moy, Managing Director, Discover and Millers Limited. We produce Isla. Currently, the government has been lifted, so we are back to our normal prices. You are back. You are much welcome to our service. We produce maize flour by the name Mutia Maize. Mutia Maize, you find it in the supermarket, in your nearest kiosk. You must welcome. My numbers are 0721 176 907 0721 176 907. My Facebook, my Twitter is John Wigai.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I really appreciate taking time for us. And I just want us to have one of the leaders, the management of Fika and Feast Hotel in Nakuru, at least to share their social media handles and also to give us a number that we can call whenever we feel like we really need to come and relax, Mr. Elliot, please.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Elliot Maina. I'm the manager at the Fika and Feast. In case of any booking, you can call this number 0796 205 606. Any booking as a birthday, anniversary, for food booking, you can call that number. Karibuni sana.
Thank you very much. Now, I also want to appreciate our director, Mr. Nicholas Maniki. Thank you so much for the amazing job you've done just behind the cameras and all that. The entire Crown TV fraternity, I appreciate you. Bye-bye for now until we meet again. If you have any comments, any suggestions, please drop them on on the comment section down below. Thank you very much. Have a lovely afternoon. See you.
Dr. Eddie.
Ninakushukuru Mungu sababu ya mengi, hata uhai huu sikustahili. Ninakushukuru Mungu tena sababu ya vingi, hata nikiwa nasali unajua yako makuu. Mimi Mungu ningekulipa nini? Ulisiri ya moyo wangu, matope ni tope.